Chapter 38 was either happy or worried, fiancé. Junior sister Yun, where is your fiancé? Mu Jiang asked in a daze. Zhao Hui glared at him and then said to Yun Chujio, Junior sister Yun, you are right. It was your fiancé who saved us. Those people from the Divine Devil Hall and Manor Master Sima were all killed by your fiancé. Yun Chujio was quite satisfied with Zhao Hu's intelligence and tactfulness. Her clear and cold gaze fell on the pale-faced Tao Zhong. Senior brother Tao, what do you think? Tao Zhong could not describe the feeling in his heart. He recalled the contempt and insults he had towards Yun Chujio previously. It was like a joke. He was like a clown who was complacent previously. Yun Chujio simply could not be bothered with him. Otherwise, she would have killed him long ago. He said hesitantly, Junior sister Yun, you're right. Yes, it was your fiancé who saved us. The corners of Yun Chujio's mouth curled slightly, and she didn't say anything else. When they were out of danger, it was necessary to let the nightmare beast weave a dream for them. However, the nightmare beast had just finished weaving a dream for Li Zhuangji a few days ago. If she wanted to succeed this time, she had to help Meng Yanshou. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking, she heard Zhao Hu's gasp. Her heart sank. She looked up and saw hundreds of people wearing black masks coming out from the bushes on both sides of the valley entrance. The silver-masked man in the lead was looking at them viciously. Yun Chujio's head buzzed. What she was afraid of came true. Although she had recovered some spiritual power, it was pitifully little. Even if her killing intent appeared again, its power would probably be limited. Zhao Hui and the others had hoped that Yun Chujio would kill again, but when they saw her pale face, despair surged in their hearts. It was over. They really had no way to escape this time. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The silver-masked man said coldly like a poisonous snake, are you Yun Chujio, who has ruined our plans time and time again? This time, let's see how you can escape. Go. Kill them. Right at this moment, the people from the Divine Devil Hall suddenly shouted for them to kill. Zhao Hui immediately said excitedly, it's the people from the 9-storied pavilion. It's Tower Master Luochen. Junior sister Yun, we're saved. Yun Chujio's heart was like a beeping dog. She did not know whether she should be happy or worried. The reason why Tower Master Luochen had appeared so timely was probably because he had already made arrangements and wanted to kidnap her on the way. She did not expect that he would actually take the risk of becoming enemies with the Nameless Sword sect to kidnap her. He was really crazy. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Tower Master Luochen had already rushed past the encirclement and stood in front of her, acting like a guardian. Yun Chujio cursed silently in her heart. If this had not happened in the past, she would have been slightly touched. However, now, she was filled with sarcasm. Although the number of people in the 9-tiered pavilion was not as many as the people of the Divine Devil Hall, their spiritual power was clearly much higher. In addition to Tower Master Luochen, who had high spiritual power, the people of the Divine Devil Hall were quickly defeated and left. Zhao Hui and the other two hurriedly jumped down from the back of the elephant to thank Tower Master Luochen. Tower Master Luochen's eyes flickered, obviously considering whether to kill them to silence them. He did not spend so much effort to save the 3 idiots. As long as he killed them, he could take Yun Chujio away and push their deaths onto the Divine Devil Hall. Yun Chujio easily guessed Tower Master Luochen's thoughts. She gritted her teeth. It seemed that she could only hide in the Great Void Mystic Realm. As long as she disappeared, Lan Luochen did not have to kill Zhao Hui and the other two. It was just that she would have some trouble in the future. Chapter 38-39, Shui Wuji and Enfeng. Just as Yun Chujio was about to hide in the Great Void Mystic Realm, a bewitching laugh came from the bushes nearby. Yo, Lan Luochen, are you planning to snatch the bride while your face is paralyzed? Yun Chujio heard this voice and could not help but feel delighted. She looked up and saw Xue Wuji in red walking over with a casual smile. Yun Chujio looked behind Xue Wuji with some hope, but she didn't see the figure she wanted to see. She couldn't help but feel a little disappointed. Besides disappointment, she was also a little worried. Although Wu Jie's brain was quite powerful, he might not be a match for Tower Master Luochen. Moreover, he had the subordinates of the 9-tiered pavilion behind him. Tower Master Luochen saw Xue Wuji and showed some contempt on his face. Xue Wuji, do you think you are still the young Master Wuji from before? What right do you have to criticize me now? Xue Wuji shrugged. TSK, Lon Luochen, you are still as annoying as before. However, you are quite pitiful. Is your confidence built on this so-called power? No wonder little sister Jiu doesn't like you anymore. I'm afraid no one will like a person like you. Tower Master Luchen's expression suddenly became very cold. So-called power? Xue Wuji, you will soon know whether this so-called power is useful or not. Go, kill him. Yun Chujio clenched her teeth in anxiety. If Xue Wuji did not show up, she could hide, but if she hid now, Xue Wuji would lose his life. What should she do? Could it be that she could only pretend to follow Lon Luochen to the 9 pavilions? Yun Chujio was about to speak when she heard Xue Wuji chuckle. It seems that only you have subordinates, and I don't. Little baby, come out. Following Xue Wuji's words, Anfeng walked out with a face full of despair. If not, he wouldn't have followed this stupid young Master Wuji to mess around. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Tower Master Luochen looked at Anfeng with a disdainful expression. There were only 2 of them, and he still wanted to fight with them. However, his expression quickly turned ugly. He realized that he couldn't see through the spiritual power levels of Xue Wuji and Anfeng. This meant that their spiritual power was higher than his. How was this possible? Di Baiming's spiritual power was higher than his, which was enough to make him angry. How could their spiritual power be higher than his? Xue Wuji crossed his arms and said provocatively, Lon Luochen, what do you think? How about we compete? Although there are only 2 of us, it's not certain who will win. Lon Luochen looked at the dozens of beasts behind Yun Chujio, then glanced at Zhao Hui and the other 2. He weighed the pros and cons in his heart, and finally said coldly, I have other things to do today, so I won't argue with you for now. Retreat. Tower Master Luochen looked at Yun Chujio deeply, then left with the people of the 9-storied pavilion. Yun Chujio finally let out a sigh of relief, but she also knew that this was not a good place to talk, so she immediately called the others and hurried out of the valley. After leaving the valley, the demonic beasts roared a few times and then ran towards the mountain forest. Everyone boarded their flying spirit tools and hurriedly headed in the direction of the nameless sword sect. Yun Chujio and the other 3 immediately took out sound transmission talismans to send a message to the sect and requested for the sect to come to their aid. Yun Chujio was afraid that someone in the middle would cause trouble, so she specially sent a sound transmission talisman to Hall Master Zhuge, making sure that he had to see Master Ouyang personally report this matter. Chapter 3840, Elder Jiyu had arrived after Yun Chujio sent out the voice transmission talisman. She went to another cabin with Anfeng and Xue Wuji. Brother Wuji, little madman, why are you here? Where is my fiancé who is so angry at the heavens and the earth? Xue Wuji's mouth twitched. Little sister Jiu, let's not talk about that facial paralysis first. Why do you look so pale? You should take a rest first. We want leave for the time being. You don't have to worry about the Divine Devil Hall's pursuers coming over. Yun Chujio also felt a little dizzy, so she did not ask any more questions and laid down to rest first. This fellow was muttering in her heart. It seemed that this killing intent was not very similar to Qi deviation. After all, when she went crazy, she only killed the people of the Divine Devil Hall and did not harm Zhao Hui and the others. However, this killing intent clearly had a side effect. Not only did it consume a lot of spiritual power, but it was also very tiring. However, in the past, the awakening of the power caused by grief and indignation took a longer time, so it seemed that the killing intent was not bad. In a daze, Yun Chujio finally fell asleep. Perhaps because she was too tired, Yun Chujio slept until the next morning. When she woke up, she found that there was nothing wrong with her body, so she was relieved. Junior sister Yun, I just received news that Elder Gu has already brought people to meet us. I believe that he will meet us soon, Zhao Hui said with some excitement. Yun Chujio was also very happy, but she just remembered that she hadn't woven a dream for Zhao Hui and the other two. Now, there was no need to talk about her fiancé, just Xue Wuji and Enfeng. The higher the spiritual power of the weaved person, the clearer their will, and the more difficult it was to weave a dream. Therefore, Yun Chujio secretly drugged Zhao Hui and the other two, and then asked the nightmare beast to weave a dream for them. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks Meng Yanshou was a habitual offender. Therefore, even after Zhao Hui and the other two woke up, they did not notice anything unusual. However, because Meng Yanshou had used up too much spiritual power, the whole rabbit was listless. Yun Chujio felt a little heartache. She comforted Meng Yanshou and threw it a few story books before putting it into the spirit beast bag. Yun Chujio found an opportunity to ask Dark Wind about Di Biming. Enfeng said that Di Biming had something on and could not get away. Moreover, he could not use the sound transmission talisman where he was. Yun Chujio saw that Enfeng and Xue Wuji's expressions were normal, so she didn't doubt them. Half a day later, Yun Chujio and the others finally met Elder Gu and the others. The two flying spirit tools landed on the ground. Yun Chujio simply introduced Xue Wuji and Enfeng, stating that they were her fiancé's subordinates. Elder Gu was shocked. These two young men's spiritual power was even higher than his. It seemed that it was true that Yun Chujio's fiancé had once defeated Tower Master Luochen. However, since Yun Chujio's fiancé was so powerful, why had he never heard of him before? And he didn't have any power. Although Elder Gu was full of doubts, he still politely greeted Xue Wuji and Enfeng and asked them about what had happened to Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio told them about what had happened, but she blamed the deaths of Luo Hai and the others on those people from the fallen goose villa, and blamed Xue Wuji and Enfeng for killing the people from the god and demon palace. Because she was afraid of making a mistake, she did not hide the matter of Tower Master Luochen. Elder Gu was terrified when he heard this. His expression changed slightly as he said, I originally planned to bring you back to the fallen Goose Mountain Villa to capture those remaining members. Now, it seems that it's safer to ask the sect to send more people over. Yun Chujio naturally agreed with Bai Li. The area within hundreds of miles of the fallen Goose Mountain Villa was prohibited from flying, and talismans were forbidden. If one entered rashly, one might fall into the trap of the godly demon palace. Chapter 38-41, The Little Silver Snake. She blinked her eyes and said, Elder Gu, this matter is of great importance. Why don't we ask the other major forces to send people over to take a look? Elder Gu's eyes lit up and he immediately took out his voice transmission talisman to communicate with Master Ouyang. Seeing Elder Gu walk to the other side, Xue Wuji said to Yun Chujio, Little Sister Jiu, come over here. The little madman has something to talk to you about. Enfeng looked at Xue Wuji with a sad look, then resigned himself to his fate and followed the two to the other side. Seeing the two of them acting so mysteriously, Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little curious. She opened the isolation array and asked, Little madman, what's the matter? Enfeng laughed dryly, then took out a small silver snake from his sleeve pocket. Miss Jiu, this is your Majesty's spiritual pet. It's been a little inconvenient for my Majesty recently, so he wants you to take care of it for a while. Yun Chujio looked at the small silver snake in Enfeng's hand with a dumbfounded expression. That's not right. Isn't the small yellow dragon golden? And its appearance is that of a dragon. Isn't this a snake? Anfeng immediately explained, Miss Jiu, the small yellow dragon's original appearance was too ostentatious, so it transformed into this appearance to avoid attracting trouble. Hearing his words, Yun Chujio felt that it made sense. The small yellow dragon was indeed a little ostentatious, and it was indeed very common for it to turn into a small silver snake. However, she disliked the little yellow dragon very much, so she said with disdain, "You can help raise it. Why did you have to send it all the way here for me? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site." Thanks. And Feng choked. Shui Wuji said from the side, "Little sister Jiu, it's not like you don't know that this little yellow dragon is special. It can't be kept into our spirit beast bags. We kill it every day. How can we have time to take care of it? Besides, we've never raised a spiritual pet before, so we don't know how to do it." Shui Wuji squeezed his eyes as he said, "Little sister Jiu, besides, if this little lecherous dragon is with you, won't you be able to meet him when he comes to pick it up?" Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. Yes, the pretty boy had sealed his 7 emotions and 6 desires, so he might deliberately avoid her. With the little lecherous dragon, she wasn't afraid that he wouldn't come to find her. Besides, she had many spiritual pets anyway, so she did not need this little lecherous dragon. It was a good opportunity to take care of it. Therefore, she curled her lips. "All right, then I will reluctantly accept it." Anfeng heard this and hurriedly stuffed the little silver snake into Yun Chujia's hand. Then, he said in a hurry, "Well, Miss Jiu, young Master Wuji and I still have important things to do. We will take our leave now." Shui Wuji also said, "Little sister Jiu, take care. I'll come to see you in a few days." After the two of them finished talking, they left in a hurry, looking like they were running away. Yun Chujio was completely confused. What was wrong with these two? Yun Chujio lowered her head and looked at the small silver snake in her hand. It looked a little more pleasing than the golden one before, but she still despised it. No matter how it changed its appearance, it would still be that lecherous dragon. Shameless. Yun Chujio wanted to put the small silver snake into her spiritual beast bag, but she did not succeed. Only then did she realize that this thing was a divine beast. If it did not recognize its owner, she would not be able to put it in. It was really troublesome. No wonder the black chicken's head and the little madman were thrown to her like a hot potato. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio disliked the small silver snake even more. She grabbed the small silver snake's tail and threw it to the ground. "You pervert. I might as well let you die on your own." Chapter 38-42, Back to the sect. Hei Shinjio originally thought that the small silver snake would be so angry that it would spit its tongue at her or jump around on the ground. She did not expect the small silver snake to have no reaction at all. Yun Chujia's heart skipped a beat. Fuck, did it fall to its death? Was a godly beast that weak? Besides, she had only thrown the small silver snake onto the ground. She did not use any strength at all. She quickly squatted down and picked up the small silver snake. Only then did she realize that the small silver snake's eyes were closed. This fellow felt guilty and tested its aura. Only when she felt that the small silver snake was still alive did she heave a sigh of relief. Even if she did not like this little lecherous dragon, it was still a pretty boy's spiritual pet after all. If she really played it to death, it would seem a little unethical. At this moment, Elder Gu called her over. She had no choice but to put the little silver snake into her sleeve and then run over. Elder Gu first probed about Shui Wuji and Anfeng, then asked about the details of the fallen Goose Mountain village. Finally, he said, "I have already reported it to the sect leader. The sect leader will immediately discuss it with the other major forces. Soon, he will send people to the fallen Goose Mountain village to check it out and let us return to the sect first." Yun Chujio was truly surprised. She thought that Master Ouyang would let them go to the fallen goose villa together. She didn't expect that he would let her return to the sect first. How could she know that Master Ouyang had a reason for doing this? Firstly, Yun Chujio had dealt with the Divine Devil Hall several times. The information she had was very important, so she couldn't let anything happen to her. Secondly, Tower Master Luochen clearly hadn't given up. If Yun Chujio were to be in danger, the 9 pavilions would probably be even more dissatisfied with the Nameless Sword sect. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Thirdly, according to Elder Gu, Yun Chujio's fiancé's 2 subordinate spiritual powers were so high, so Yun Chujio's fiancé was even more difficult to deal with. Therefore, they couldn't let Yun Chujio be in danger. 2 days later, Elder Gu brought Yun Chujio and the others back to the Nameless Sword sect. Yun Chujio and the other 2 received a few more questions before letting them return to their dormitories to rest. Although Zhao Hui and the other 2 had been weaved into a dream by the Meng Yanshou, there was still a lingering fear of Yun Chujio in their hearts. They spoke to Yun Chujio in fear and trepidation before returning to their respective dormitories. Yun Chujio had yet to walk to the entrance of her own dormitory when she saw Jiarani coming over to welcome her with a flattering smile. "Junior sister Yun, you're back. I knew that you were blessed with great fortune and good fortune. Nothing will happen to you." Yun Chujio looked at him with a hint of mockery. "You're afraid that if I die, you won't be able to get the antidote, right? Tell me, what happened during the time I was away?" Jiarani laughed dryly, then, he said, "Nothing happened. It's just that the Zhongli that you asked me to keep an eye on has gone mad again." He cut off Martial Uncle Wan's arm. Elder Wan was very dissatisfied and threatened to expel Zhongli from the sect. However, later on, I heard that the sect leader asked for leniency. Coincidentally, the teleportation array in the Nameless Ancestral Master's cave was repaired, so he locked Zhongli in the Nameless Ancestral Master's cave. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed. Has he gone mad again? There must be something else going on. Perhaps it was Zhongli who left and Wan Qingba asked about what happened back then. Wan Qingba was afraid that he would be exposed and used tricks to frame him again. Zhongli might have been a favored son of heaven since he was young, and everything went smoothly. Even if he had encountered setbacks, he was still lacking in scheming. A person like him was indeed not suitable to be a sect leader. Even if he did, he would be played to death by others. Chapter 38-43, But Face, who was shocked, Yun Chujio asked Jiarani a few more questions, then took out a pill and handed it to him. "This is the antidote. From now on, we are even. You can leave." Jiarani took the antidote and hurriedly stuffed it into his mouth, but he didn't leave immediately. Junior sister Yun, you can tell me anything in the future. Although I am a handyman, I am still well informed, Jiarani said with some flattery. Yun Chujio looked at Jiarani with some surprise. "If that's the case, then help me keep an eye on Wan Qingba. If anything happens, come and tell me. I will give you this bottle of 9 Revolution Spirit Pill as a reward. If you do well, I will not mistreat you." Although Yun Chujio looked down on the 9 Revolution Spirit Pill, to a handyman like Jiarani, this bottle of 9 Revolution Spirit Pill was considered very valuable. He suddenly felt that his choice was not wrong. He had helped Luo Hai and Yu Bo with so many things, and the 2 of them had only given him a few 9 Revolution Spirit Pills. The reason why he chose to join Yun Chujio was because he heard that Luo Hai and Yu Bo were dead. He knew that the 2 of them wanted to kill Yun Chujio. In the end, Yun Chujio returned safely, but the 2 of them were dead. What did this mean? It meant that this Yun Chujio was definitely not simple. Moreover, he vaguely heard that this Yun Chujio's fiancé was very impressive. Even his fiancé's subordinates had higher spiritual power than Elder Gu. In the future, this Yun Chujio might have a bright future. This was a good opportunity for him to climb up. After Yun Chujio sent Jiarani away, she opened the restriction in the courtyard. When Yun Chujio took off her coat and was about to take a bath, the small silver snake fell to the ground with a clatter. Yun Chujio then remembered that she had another burden. She thought to herself, this little lecherous dragon is the most lecherous. Maybe it will peep at her taking a bath. Therefore, she left the small silver snake in the outer room and asked Buttface to keep an eye on it, in case it woke up halfway and peered at it. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Buttface stared at the silver snake in the outer room and said disdainfully, little lecherous dragon, don't you feel ashamed that your dragon turned into a small snake? Also, your own master doesn't like you and left you to the little fairy. You are really miserable. I'm warning you. If you dare to peek at the little fairy bathing, I will eat you. Dog 2 kept kissing the little silver snake for a long time, but the snake still didn't open its eyes. Dog 2 couldn't help but feel a little bored. It unhappily stretched out its claws to pull the little silver snake, but the little silver snake suddenly opened its eyes, scaring Dog 2 so much that it staggered. Dog 2 was scared stiff by the little silver snake's cold eyes. When it looked again, the little silver snake had already closed its eyes. Buttface took a while to recover. He stared at the silver snake for a long time. The silver snake just lay there with its eyes closed, as if everything that happened just now was an illusion. Buttface stretched out his paw and wanted to try again, but after thinking for a while, he pulled back. The guy said proudly, "Humph, I'm not afraid of you. I'm mainly afraid of disturbing the little fairy. However, I'm warning you. If you dare to harm the little fairy, I, Buttface, will not forgive you." The little silver snake still had no reaction. Buttface was puzzled. Could it be that the little lecherous dragon was sleepwalking just now? It was really strange. The divine dragons were usually violent. Why did this little lecherous dragon have such a cold gaze? It must have seen wrongly. Chapter 38-44 Cobra. After Yun Chujio finished her bath, she ignored the little silver snake and strolled into the courtyard. Buttface followed her eagerly. Little fairy, that little lecherous dragon is most likely hibernating. Otherwise, why didn't it wake up for such a long time? Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with this idiot Buttface. It was spring all year round here, what was the point of hibernating? Yun Chujio leaned back on the recliner, nibbling on a fruit as she thought about the murderous aura. If they were facing an enemy, it wouldn't be a bad thing for the murderous aura to surge, but if the murderous aura surged up normally, it would be very troublesome. What exactly was this murderous aura? Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Xiao Hanio and the others were clamoring to come out for some fresh air, so Yun Chujio let them all out. Anyway, this was a haunted house, so no one would come over. Seeing that the little black bird and Xiao Hanio were having fun on the other side, a bright light flashed in the kitten's eyes, and it secretly moved toward the house. If it could swallow the golden dragon, it would definitely awaken more spiritual power, and then it would be able to get rid of this smelly girl. The more the kitten thought about it, the more pleased it became. The golden dragon was now half dead, and it had no spiritual connection with the smelly girl, so it could only let it eat it. The kitten finally moved into the house. It carefully looked outside, but neither Yun Chujio nor Xiao Hanio noticed it, so it couldn't help but be happy. It saw the small silver snake lying on the table at a glance. It drooled and jumped onto the table, revealing its sharp claws again and reaching for the small silver snake. At this moment, Dog 2's voice came from the door, "Kitten, what are you doing?" The kitten was so hateful. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. However, it could only gnash its teeth and say, I want to see if this little lecherous dragon is awake. The little fairy said that she wanted to reward you with dried fish. Hurry up and get out. Dog 2's eyes revealed some disdain. Did it really think that everyone else was an idiot? The little fairy had already seen it sneakily enter the house, but she did not expose it. Idiot! The kitten was so angry that it gritted its teeth. It had no choice but to jump off the table and leave unwillingly. Dog 2 looked at the motionless silver snake on the table and then went out. At this moment, the silver snake on the table opened its eyes. It was cold inside, and it closed its eyes again a moment later. The kitten moved closer to Yun Chujio with a guilty conscience. Fortunately, Yun Chujio did not say anything and only threw 2 dried fish to it. Yes, the kind that was so salty that it could kill. The kitten ate the 2 dried fish bitterly and drank half a jar of cold water. It finally understood that the stupid girl had been pretending to be ignorant. It was really too hateful. However, since the little girl did not want to break the window, it naturally would not do so. It did not want the fish to die and the net to break. Yun Chujio squinted her eyes and looked at the kitten. The kitten had reminded her that the little lecherous dragon clearly did not have any ability to protect itself. It seemed that she had to carry it with her. Otherwise, it would be very dangerous. However, that lecherous person was not a good person. What if he peeked at her? Yun Chujio walked into the house and stared at the little silver snake for a while. Then, she snapped her fingers. There it was. Yun Chujio took out a needle and thread and fiddled with it for a while. Then, she made a small eye mask and put it over the little silver snake's eyes. This guy could not help but giggle. Isn't this a cobra? Chapter 38:45, The Facial Paralysis. Just as Yun Chujio was feeling smug, Butt Face said weakly, "Little fairy, this little pervert is not even as thick as your thumb. Why don't you just put a cloth over it? It's a waste of time to sew such a thing." Although Yun Chujio realized that she was a little stupid, she still kicked Butt Face. Get lost. What do you know? This is called aesthetic appreciation. As soon as Hei Shinjo finished her sentence, the small silver snake's body suddenly shrank. Then, the eye patch that she had carefully sewn was swept to the ground by the snake's tail. Butt Face gloated and said, "Little fairy, the little pervert seems to dislike the weird thing you made." Yun Chujio was so angry that she clenched her teeth and picked up the small silver snake's tail. She said fiercely, "Little perverted dragon, are you trying to rebel? Let me tell you, you are now a homeless dragon. If you continue to be a demon, I will throw you out and let you fend for yourself." After saying that, Yun Chujio threw the small silver snake to the corner of the wall. She thought to herself, "This thing will be reborn even if it dies. Do whatever you want." She didn't believe that the pretty boy would fall out with her because of this little perverted dragon. Yun Chujio glared fiercely at the motionless small silver snake in the corner of the wall and left in a huff. Dog 2 used its claws to pull the small eye patch that was despised. It gloated at the small silver snake and said, "Are you stupid? The little fairy spent a long time sewing this thing for you and you still don't appreciate it. You deserve to be thrown to the corner of the wall. Since you don't want it, I'll keep this thing." As Butt Face said this, he put the blindfold into his storage space. Then, he felt a cold gaze staring at him. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Butt Face turned his head and saw the little silver snake, who was pretending to be dead in the corner, looking at him as if he was looking at a dead dog. Butt Face was so scared that he couldn't help but tremble. He roared, "What are you looking at? If you keep looking, I'll eat you." Humph. After Butt Face said that, he ran out in a panic. The small silver snake suddenly jumped up and nimbly jumped onto the table. Then, it coiled up into a small ball and closed its eyes. Yun Chujio was infuriated by the small silver snake. She took out Enfeng's voice transmission talisman and said, "Little lunatic, quickly take the small dragon away. Otherwise, I'll stew it in soup one day." Enfeng, who was on the other side, almost threw the voice transmission talisman on the ground after he heard that. He looked at Shui Wuji with a sorrowful expression. "Young Master Wuji, I told you that this method of yours won't work. It's not like you don't know how much Miss Jiu dislikes the little yellow dragon. Why don't we invite the little yellow dragon, no, the venerable one back? A hint of schadenfreude flashed across Xue Wuji's bewitching phoenix eyes. He said carelessly, that facial paralysis is his own doing. Now, only the 7 emotions and 6 desires that have been sealed can be restored. In the whole world, only little sister Jiu can let him unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires. If you don't throw him to little sister Jiu, can you let that facial paralysis unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires? Anfeng said with a bitter face, but Ninth Miss doesn't know that it's your majesty. Moreover, your majesty doesn't want us to tell Ninth Miss. Moreover, Ninth Miss hates little perverted dragons to death now. How can she help your majesty unseal the 7 emotions and 6 desires? Xue Wuji pursed his lips. That facial paralysis is blaming us for his face. If he can't take it anymore, he will naturally take the initiative to tell us. However, this human snake love really has a heavy taste. Chapter 38-46, Can There Be Sparks? Anfeng was about to cry. A snake without emotions and a deranged Ninth Miss. How? How could there be sparks? Anfeng looked like he had nothing to live for. Young Master Wuji, then how should I reply to Ninth Miss? Xue Wuji said nonchalantly, just tell her that we have urgent matters to attend to and that we'll retrieve the little lecherous dragon later. Besides, we'll be leaving Towering Sky Continent soon, and she won't be able to contact us. What are you afraid of? Anfeng had no other choice but to reply He Xinjiu according to Xue Wuji's instructions. After receiving Anfeng's voice transmission talisman, He Xinjiu gritted her teeth in anger. She knew immediately that Anfeng was just giving her a perfunctory reply. There was no way he would come back to retrieve the little lecherous dragon. Just as Yun Chujiu was fuming with anger, Buttface said, "Little fairy, someone is coming." Although Buttface was not very capable now, he was an ancient fierce beast after all. Moreover, he was the soul of an adult ancient fierce beast, so his sense of aura was much stronger than Yun Chujiu's. Yun Chujiu frowned and only left Buttface behind. The rest of the dumb cuties were put into her storage ring. After a moment, there was a knock on the door. Yun Chujiu opened it and saw that it was Jiarini. Yun Chujiu was stunned. "Is there something you need me for?" Jiarini looked around, he lowered his voice and said, "Junior Sister Yun, I just returned to the Sword Hall and overheard Uncle Master Wan talking to a disciple of the Discipline Hall. I vaguely heard something about Zhongli and what he did to Zhongli. He definitely won't survive, so I quickly came over to tell you." Yun Chujiu's heart sank. It seemed that Wan Qingba intended to put Zhongli to death. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, the people of the Discipline Hall did not need to put any poison in their food. As long as they deducted the amount, a person without spiritual power, without water or food, would probably not last more than a few days. Yun Chujiu asked Jiarini a few more questions and then sent him away. Yun Chujiu sat on the recliner and thought, should I help Zhongli or not? After thinking about it, she decided to help Zhongli once. She and Elder Wan had already reached an irreconcilable state. She did not have any allies in the Nameless Sword sect, so Zhongli was at least a former disciple of Master Ouyang. He could barely be considered a good helper. However, how could she help? Master Ouyang had previously pleaded for Zhongli's mercy, so it was likely that he had already used up his last bit of friendship. Even if she went to find Master Ouyang, it might not be of any use. Moreover, she did not have any real evidence. Yun Chujiu didn't have any idea until after dinner. She could only sit in the courtyard and continue to think. But Face said shamelessly, "Little fairy, don't look so sad. Look at how beautiful the moon is tonight. Let's admire the moon together." Hearing that, Yun Chujiu looked up. The moon in the night sky was very bright. She suddenly remembered that the full moon would be in 2 days. Would the sword technique on the stone wall appear? She rolled her eyes and immediately had an idea to kill two birds with one stone. The next morning, Yun Chujio went to the hidden sword peak. With her full of bad ideas, she finally met Master Ouyang. Yun Chujio first kissed him. It was just that she accidentally heard that the discipline hall had set up a trap for Zhongli, so she came to inform him. After hearing it, Master Ouyang's face was very cold. No matter how many favors he had, Zhongli had caused trouble time and time again, and it had all been exhausted. Moreover, Master Ouyang had already aroused the dissatisfaction of several elders because of Zhongli. He really didn't want to cause any more trouble. Chapter 38-47. Did she want to settle down in the ancestral master's abode? Yun Chujio caught a glimpse of Master Ouyang's expression and basically guessed his thoughts. She said with a smile, "Master Ouyang, I have a presumptuous request. I hope you can agree." Master Ouyang frowned and asked coldly, "What request?" "Last time, I received advice from the ancestral master's abode, so can you let me go up again? As you know, there's no use even if you only have 3 moves. No matter what, I have to get the old man to give me 10 or 8 more moves." The corner of Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. What advice from the ancestral master? That was clearly mushroom poisoning. After the teleportation array was repaired, Master Ouyang had specially sent people to the ancestral master's cave abode to check. They did not find the poisonous mushroom that Yun Chujio mentioned, but they did not find anything else unusual. However, everyone did not doubt Yun Chujio's words. After all, without the poisonous mushroom, she would not be able to last until the end. She was starving to death. Seeing that Master Ouyang did not say anything, Yun Chujio said, "Master Ouyang, although I am not familiar with martial uncle Zhongli, I cannot bear for him to really be harmed by a traitor. Firstly, I am going to seek guidance from the ancestral master. Secondly, I can also send some food and drinks to martial uncle Zhongli. Moreover, if I learn a new sword move, won't it be able to contribute to our sect? Please agree with me." In the end, Master Ouyang was persuaded by Yun Chujio. In the end, he still couldn't bear to see Zhongli get killed. Otherwise, he wouldn't have tried so hard to keep him in the nameless sword sect. Moreover, the 3 moves that Yun Chujio learned last time were very mysterious. If this little girl was lucky enough to fantasize a few more moves, it would be a good thing for the nameless sword sect. Thereupon, He Xinjiu took Master Ouyang's handwritten order and returned to her courtyard. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks to go to the ancestral master's cave abode, she naturally had to prepare many things. First, she had to prepare food and drinks. Even if she had the juice of the Guai Chao, that Zhongli still had to eat and drink, right? Little Wu Yun and a large kitchen knife were necessary. She also had to prepare the sticky silk and rope. In case little Wu Yun could not use them, these things would be useful. This guy even specially prepared a large bronze mirror. Finally, he looked at the small silver snake with disdain and put it on his hair. Then, he valiantly went to the teleportation formation of the nameless ancestral master's cave abode. When the disciples guarding the teleportation formation saw the sect leader's order that Yun Chujio took out, they immediately opened the teleportation formation. Then, they were stunned to see that Yun Chujio kept putting things on the teleportation formation. Buckets, food boxes, clothes, quilts, and a big iron pot. And that was not all. She was carrying a big bag on her back. It was unknown what she was carrying. Well, she was carrying a puppy in her arms. Did she want to settle down in the ancestral master's cave? The disciples looked at Yun Chujio with twitching lips. In the end, they opened the teleportation array speechlessly. A white light flashed. When Yun Chujio regained her sight, she was already on the stone platform of the ancestral master's cave. She dragged all the things to the side to avoid being accidentally teleported back. That would be a loss that would not be worth it. Zhongli, who was already so hungry that he did not have much strength left, looked at Yun Chuzhou in a daze. Why was this little girl here? Yun Chuzhou waved her claws. Martial Uncle Zhang, long time no see. Zhongli laughed bitterly. He did not say anything. What could he say? He felt that he was really a good-for-nothing now. Originally, he wanted to talk to Wan Qingba about what happened back then. He wanted to see if there were any flaws. However, he did not expect that he would be possessed by the devil again. In the end, he almost starved to death. Chapter 38-48 He chased after me. Yun Chuzhou tactfully did not ask any more questions. Instead, she took out a bowl of porridge from a food box and handed it to Zhongli. Zhongli was about to cramp from hunger, so he did not have the time to be unreasonable. He took it and wolfed down the porridge. Only then did he feel that he had regained some of his strength. Zhongli laughed bitterly at himself and said, although I don't have any evidence, there is a high chance that the incident back then was related to Wan Qingba. Moreover, I was not possessed by the devil. I was just drugged by him. Then what do you plan to do, Uncle Master Zhang? Zhongli laughed bitterly again. If it was my usual personality, I would have gone straight to Wan Qingba to take revenge. However, I now know that even if my spiritual power is higher than Wan Qingba's, I have already become an abandoned child. How can I defeat him? If I go out this time, I will hide my strength and bide my time. I will wait for an opportunity and slowly plan it out. Yun Chuzhou was quite satisfied with Zhang Li's words. Although she was a little stupid, she could still be saved. Martial nephew Yun, why are you here? Did you come here just to give me food? Zhang Li asked with a touch of touched. Yes, I can't just stand by and watch her die. Besides, didn't I get some advice from the patriarch last time in this cave abode? I want to learn a few more moves. Yun Chuzhou said with a smile. Zhang Li had heard about Yun Chuzhou eating poisonous mushrooms. The corner of his mouth twitched, but he didn't say anything. After all, this little girl was already his savior if she could give him food and drinks. After a moment of silence, Zhang Li looked at the things that Yun Chuzhou brought. Everything else was fine, but what was the use of that big iron pot? Could it be that she wanted to build a fire to cook? Not to mention other things, they didn't even have firewood. Zhang Li explained his question, and Yun Chuzhou said with a smile, if it rains, we can use it to catch the rain. Zhang Li was speechless. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, but no matter what, when this little girl came, he felt that his days were not so difficult anymore. Zhang Li looked at Buttface who was running around and the small silver snake coiled in Yun Chuzhou's hair. He muttered in his heart, this Yun Chuzhou looks quite smart, but why does her spiritual pet look so ordinary? Zhang Li asked about Yun Chuzhou's mission, and Yun Chuzhou told him about it. If your fiancé's subordinates are so outstanding, then your fiancé is also very outstanding, right? Yun Chuzhou said proudly, of course. My fiancé is a very handsome man, and he is also very powerful. Hearing Yun Chuzhou's words, the small silver snake on Yun Chuzhou's head had a hint of satisfaction in its eyes. Zhang Li followed up with a few words of praise, and then asked curiously, since he's so outstanding, how did you two meet? Yun Chuzhou pouted unhappily and said, Martial Uncle Zhang, look at your words, it's as if I'm superior to him. Let me tell you the truth. My fiancé fell in love with me at first sight. He cried and begged me to be with him. He even threatened me with his life. I'm a soft-hearted person. In the end, I reluctantly agreed. Otherwise, a peerless beauty like me might not have taken a fancy to him. Patter. The small silver color on Yun Chuzhou's head jumped from Yun Chuzhou's hair to the ground. Then, she quickly climbed into the cave. However, before she left, she turned around and glanced at Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou saw a trace of disdain in the snake's eyes. She was so angry that she almost vomited blood. "You little pervert, how dare you look down on me? Are you looking for a beating?" Chapter 38-49. A certain respected figure who had to suffer for his pride. Zhongli did not notice the small silver snake's gaze. He only thought that the small silver snake was playful, so he climbed into the cave. Zhongli asked Yun Chujio about some other things, and Yun Chujio could only let the small silver snake go for now. However, the black book in her heart had added another sum to it. The little silver snake crawled into the cave. Its pair of cold vertical eyes looked at the stone bed in the distance. It did not crawl over. Instead, it crawled to a corner and curled itself into a ball. The overlord, who was fighting against the heavens and the earth, was actually feeling even more bitter than Huang Lian. Even though he had sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires, he still did not want to tell Yun Chujio the truth. How so? Could it be that your fiancé went overboard when he sealed the 7 emotions and 6 desires and accidentally turned himself into a snake? Or could it be that you came to flirt with me? As long as you flirted well, I would be able to break the seal. A certain someone decided to use his spiritual power to slowly break the seal. He would definitely be able to break it. Yes, he would definitely be able to, right? Yun Chujio and Zhongli chatted for a while more before entering the cave with a sinister smile. She held the silver snake's tail in her hand and said with a sinister smile, "Little thing, you still dare to look down on me? You really have the guts of a bear. Watch how he'll deal with you." Yun Chujio carried the silver snake to the side of the stone platform and said to the silver snake, "Little thing, smile for me. Otherwise, it'll throw you down there. I guarantee that it'll crush you into pieces." Zhongli, who was standing at the side, could not bear to look at her. How could she treat her spiritual pet like this? This little girl was too unattractive. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The small silver snake's eyes did not show any emotion, as if it did not know that there was a bottomless abyss below. Seeing this, Yun Chujio could not help but feel a little puzzled. She remembered that this little perverted dragon was not very brave, so how could it become so bold now? Thinking of this, Yun Chujio held the small silver snake in her hand and looked at it. Whether it was its color or appearance, it was different from the previous little pervert. Could it be that because of the change in appearance, its personality had changed as well? Just like the kitten from back then. Yun Chujio subconsciously used her hand to touch the small silver snake's body. The small silver snake could not help but stiffen its body. With all its strength, it leaped away from Yun Chujio's hand and crawled into the cave. Yun Chujio stomped her foot angrily and followed him into the cave. She saw the small silver snake lying in a corner with its small head upright. Its pair of vertical eyes stared at her coldly, but there seemed to be a trace of anger in its coldness. Before Yun Chujio could make a move, the small silver snake lowered its head weakly. A certain someone's heart was like a dog's. So hungry, he was going to starve to death. But, asking him to ask that little girl for food? It was better to starve. Yun Chujio also noticed that the small silver snake seemed to be a little strange. Could it be that it was frightened by her just now? Yun Chujio curled her lips. "Forget it, I won't argue with you, little bastard. If you dare to disrespect me again, I'll kill you." After Hei Shinjo finished speaking, she swaggered out of the cave. "Little bastard. Good, very good." Outside the cave, Yun Chujio chatted with Zhongli for a while before they began to compete in swordsmanship. Zhongli was the original head disciple after all. He used the space-breaking swordsmanship that only true disciples were qualified to learn. Although it couldn't be compared to the nameless swordsmanship of Master Ouyang and the others, it was still considered a high-tier swordsmanship. Yun Chujio used the 5-element sword technique of an outer sect disciple, but it was slightly improved. Chapter 3850. Even though Zhongli knew that Yun Chuzhou had learned 3 mysterious sword techniques, he felt that a little girl at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm was not that powerful, so he was a little careless at the beginning. However, when they really fought, he was shocked. Not to mention this sword technique, just this little girl's movement technique was very shocking to him. This movement technique was too fast. As they fought, he realized that although the little girl was using the 5-element swordsmanship, she had obviously improved some parts of it. It was actually not inferior to the space-shattering swordsmanship that he used. It was really unbelievable. Yun Chuzhou also received some inspiration during the competition. It was not until the sky turned dark that the two of them stopped sparring. The two of them entered the cave. Yun Chuzhou took out a nightlight pearl from her bag to illuminate the place. Then, she arranged the food and asked Zhongli to come over for dinner. "Martial Uncle Zhang, you can't use a storage ring on this, so the food can only be stored for 2 days at most. Therefore, I didn't bring much food. But don't worry, I brought a few bottles of fasting pills and fruits and vegetables that are easy to preserve. It's enough for us to last for a month," Yun Chuzhou said as she ate. Zhongli nodded. It didn't matter what he ate. As long as he didn't die of hunger or thirst, it was fine. Yun Chuzhou threw a few pieces of meat and bones to Dog 2 and asked it to eat them. A thought flashed through her mind, and she finally remembered something. Ever since Enfong gave the little yellow dragon to her, she didn't seem to have fed it anything. No wonder the little yellow dragon didn't treat her well. Was it complaining that she didn't give it anything to eat? Logically speaking, the little yellow dragon was very thick-skinned. If she didn't give it anything to eat, why didn't it know that she wanted it? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Although Yun Chuzhou had some doubts in her heart, she still picked up a steamed bun and threw it to the small silver snake in the corner. The small silver snake looked at the steamed bun in front of it and then looked at the meat and bones in front of Buttface. Its eyes darkened a little, but it still accepted its fate and began to eat the steamed bun. Zhongli glanced at the small silver snake that was fighting with the steamed bun, then, he smiled and said, "Martial nephew Yun, your spirit pet is special. Generally speaking, snake-type spirit pets prefer to eat meat, but this one of yours actually eats the steamed bun so well." Yun Chuzhou touched her nose with a rare guilty conscience. Could she say that the little dragon was hungry? Seeing that the little silver snake was almost choked to death by the steamed bun, the little snake kindly took a water bowl and placed it in front of the little silver snake. Then, it said with slight disdain, "Drink some water, so that you won't choke to death." The small silver snake's body stiffened. In the end, it resigned itself to its fate and began to drink water. If not for its special circumstances, it would have died long ago if it did not eat or drink for a few days. Seeing that the small silver snake was very impatient to drink, Yun Chuzhou touched her nose guiltily. This was really not her fault. Who asked the small dragon not to take the initiative to eat and drink? Even if it could not communicate with her, she and the cute pets did not carry it when they ate. It could totally eat by itself, so it deserved it. It was not its fault. Yes, that was it. After dinner, Zhongli took the initiative to say, "Martial nephew Yun, you can sleep on the stone bed tonight. I will make do on the ground." After Zhongli finished speaking, he thought that Yun Chuzhou would be humble. He did not expect to hear Yun Chuzhou say with a smile, "Martial Uncle Zhang, then I will not be polite. I am a girl. It is not good for me to sleep on the ground." Zhongli, however, he had originally sincerely let Yun Chuzhou sleep on the stone bed, so he only smiled bitterly and did not say anything. Chapter 3851, Miserable Dog 2. Before Yun Chuzhou went to sleep, she gave Dog 2 a look. Dog 2 knew that Yun Chuzhou wanted it to stare at the small silver snake, so it immediately nodded its head and lay down next to the small silver snake. The small silver snake thought of the meat bones and steamed buns for dinner, and it looked at Dog 2 with an even colder gaze. Dog 2 was so scared that it took a few steps back. Buttface was puzzled. The strength of a divine beast and a fierce beast were equal. Moreover, this little dragon was just a cub. How could it be so scary? It was really strange. Could it be that Buttface's courage had really become smaller? Buttface raised his head to look at the little silver snake again and realized that it had already closed its eyes. Buttface silently cursed a few times and then closed his eyes. Anyway, his senses were sharp, and he wasn't afraid that the little dragon would do something bad. However, the little silver snake slowly opened its eyes. A certain being's heart was about to break down. He had had enough. He had to think of a way to break the seal. Otherwise, when would these days end? However, how could he break the seal quickly? He recalled that during the day, when Yunchujio touched him, the seal seemed to loosen a little. Perhaps, it would be fine if he was intimate with her. After a long struggle, a certain being finally decided to give it a try. Therefore, the small silver snake crawled towards Yunchujio. Buttface seemed to have sensed something and opened his eyes. When he saw the small silver snake actually crawling towards Yunchujio, his dog eyes immediately widened. However, just as he was about to call out, he was frightened by the small silver snake's cold eyes and didn't dare to make a sound. Buttface was so conflicted in his heart. Although he was a fierce beast and shameless, he was loyal to the little fairy. Could it be that he had betrayed the little fairy just like that? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. In the end, Buttface mustered up his courage and approached the stone bed, ready to see what the little silver snake wanted to do. If it dared to harm the little fairy, he would take care of it no matter what. Seeing that the little silver snake was only coiled around Yunchujio's wrist and didn't do anything else, Buttface decided to observe it again. The miserable Buttface kept staring at the dog until daybreak. He thought to himself that when the little fairy woke up, she would find the little dragon. At that time, he wouldn't even need to complain. The little fairy would also take care of him. However, just as he was thinking, the little lecherous dragon quickly climbed down the stone platform and shrank back into the corner. When Buttface was about to follow him, Yunchujio woke up. Yunchujio looked at Buttface with dissatisfaction and said in a low voice, "Buttface, didn't I tell you to keep an eye on the little lecherous dragon? Why are you lying here? Do you want to be beaten up?" As it was afraid that Zhongli would hear it, Buttface couldn't speak, so it could only look at Yunchujio with resentment. Then, it glared at the little silver snake who was playing dead. In its heart, it hated the little silver snake. Buttface made up its mind. If the little dragon was to coil around the little fairy's wrist again tonight, it would report it on the spot and let the little fairy catch it in the act. Then, it would see how the little dragon would show off. At this moment, Zhongli also woke up. He vaguely heard Yunchujio scolding Buttface, but he did not take it to heart. He only thought that Yunchujio was playing with his spiritual pet. During the day, Yunchujio and Zhongli were still sparring with each other on sword techniques. Yunchujio was fighting while thinking about drugging Zhongli at night. She could only go down to the pool after she had drugged Zhongli. The miserable Zhongli did not know that the little girl opposite him was playing dirty tricks. He was still very serious about dissecting the sword moves with Yunchujio. Chapter 3852. Was this venerable self worse than a dog? During dinner, Yunchujio took out a wine gourd and secretly used sleeping powder inside. Zhongli quickly fainted. Yunchujio said guiltily, "Uncle Master Zhang, it's been hard on you. Just take it as a nap." After saying that, she brought Buttface out of the cave. The little silver snake was so angry. Was he planning to abandon this venerable self? Could it be that in her heart, this venerable self couldn't be compared to a dog? A certain venerable self didn't even think about it. He was now a little lecherous dragon that was not welcomed. Naturally, he couldn't be compared to Buttface. The little silver snake took the cold air and quickly jumped out of the cave, blocking in front of Yun Chuzhou. Only then did Yun Chuzhou realize that she was missing a headpiece. She picked up the little silver snake and placed it on her hair in disgust. She muttered, "Wrap yourself tightly in a while. If you fall, don't blame me." After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, she took out the little Wu Yun from her bag. The little Wu Yun immediately flew around the stone platform. It was clear that there was no problem at all. Thinking about it, it made sense. The place was surrounded by clouds and mist. Naturally, the little Wu Yun could also fly. It was also strange. In some areas where flying was prohibited, the little Wu Yun could not fly. In some places, it could. Perhaps it was because the little Wu Yun was not strong enough. After all, that stupid big Wu Yun could fly anywhere. Speaking of which, that stupid big Wu Yun hadn't appeared for a long time. Perhaps he was punished after he went back. Yun Chuzhou quickly threw this idea to the back of her mind. She carried Butt-Face up to the little Wu Yun and directed the little Wu Yun to fly down into the pool. Soon, the little Wu Yun flew to the top of the pool. Butt-Face jumped into the water, and Yun Chuzhou also jumped into the pool. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chuzhou couldn't wait to take out the big bronze mirror from her bag and adjust the angle of the reflection of the moonlight. Soon, she was happy to see a figure dancing on the cliff wall. However, the figure was still dancing with half of the sword techniques that Yun Chuzhou had learned. Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but feel discouraged. Yun Chuzhou tried to change the angle again, but she didn't find anything new. She could only stare at the figure on the cliff wall. Could it be that this figure only knew half a set of sword techniques? As the angle of the moonlight changed, even if Yun Chuzhou had a large copper mirror, the figure gradually disappeared on the cliff wall. Yun Chuzhou put away the copper mirror in frustration and decided to come back the next night to take a look. Yun Chuzhou originally wanted to call little Wu Yun to bring her up, but she felt that the water was warm, so a bath was not bad. So she said to Butt-Face, "Dog 2, let little Wu Yun take you somewhere else for a while. I want to take a bath. If you dare to peek, he'll poke your dog eyes out." Dog 2 immediately said eagerly, "Little fairy, don't worry. I promise I won't peek. If I peek, I won't be a dog." Yun Chuzhou, you're not a dog in the first place, alright? Are you addicted to being a dog? After little Wu Yun took Butt-Face away, Yun Chuzhou began to take off her clothes one by one. Then, she realized that something warm was flowing down her face. It's raining. Yun Chuzhou wiped it with her hand, but it was a bright red color. Blood. She subconsciously thought that she was injured, but how could she be injured all of a sudden? And she didn't feel any pain. Yun Chuzhou was stunned for a while before she realized that there was a headpiece in her hair. Chapter 38:53. Ever since they entered the pool, the small silver snake had been very quiet. Therefore, both Dog 2 and Yun Chuzhou had forgotten that it was still coiled in Yun Chuzhou's hair. Yun Chuzhou pulled the small silver snake out of her hair. To be more precise, it could no longer be called a small silver snake because the whole snake had a faint pink color and was still bleeding from its nose. Yun Chuzhou was burning with anger and gnashed her teeth in hatred. "You pervert, how dare you peek at me? I'll strangle you to death." The poor lord was pinched by He Xinjiu and almost suffocated to death. Fortunately, he finally came back to his senses and shrunk his body suddenly before jumping into the water. Otherwise, he would have been strangled to death by his wife. The lord felt that he was quite innocent, and it was not what he wanted to see. Besides, his emotions and desires were sealed now, so he did not feel anything even if he looked at her, not to mention that she was still wearing her undergarments. As for why her nose was bleeding and why her body had turned pink, a certain lord attributed it to the fact that it was too hot here. Yes, that was it. Seeing the small silver snake slither into the water, He Xinjiu became even more furious. She dived into the water and began to catch the snake. Unfortunately, the small silver snake had made herself very small. Moreover, Yun Chujio could not use her spiritual power now, so the little snake could not catch her even after using a lot of effort. She was so tired that she was panting. Good. Very fast. Little yellow dragon, you can run very well, can't you? You can just stay in this pool from now on. You can just wait here for death. After saying that, Yun Chujio put on her coat and pulled her neck to call little Wu Yun and butt face back. Then, she sat on little Wu Yun and left. A certain lord was dumbfounded. She left just like that. She didn't care about him anymore. It wasn't like she had never seen him before. Was there a need to be so angry? Besides, her small figure was only exposed to little he. What was there to be shy about? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. A certain someone cursed in his heart as he looked at the nosebleed that was flowing down again. That, he wouldn't die from blood loss, right? Sitting on little Wu Yun, Yun Chujio was so angry that she gritted her teeth. Although she was still wearing her undergarment just now, when she thought about how she had been taken advantage of by that little lecherous dragon, she was so angry that her head buzzed. But Face also slowly realized that he had thought of the little silver snake. His heart was filled with schadenfreude and guilt. The schadenfreude was naturally because the little silver snake was about to suffer. The guilt was because he was afraid that Yun Chujio would vent her anger on him. After all, he had forgotten to remind Yun Chujio about the little silver snake. Yun Chujio directed little Wu Yun to the stone platform and then entered the cave. Zhongli was still in a deep sleep. Yun Chujio sat on the stone bed and cursed at the little pervert dozens of times before lying down on the stone bed to catch up on her sleep. It was only when the sun was high in the sky that Zhongli opened his eyes in a daze. He had slept so soundly that he did not suspect anything. He thought that it was because he drank too much. While eating breakfast, Zhongli asked curiously, "Martial nephew Yun, where is your little snake?" Yun Chujio said unhappily, "It strangled itself to death." Zhongli, after breakfast, the two of them continued to spar with each other. However, Yun Chujio was a little absent-minded. She had thrown that little lecherous dragon into the pond. Would anything happen to it? Although that lecherous beast was very detestable, it did not see anything. Moreover, it was not subjective or intentional. Punishment naturally had to be punished, but it wasn't to the extent of taking its life. Moreover, if it was discovered by others, it might be in trouble. Therefore, during dinner, Yun Chujio added some more ingredients into the wine. After Zhongli passed out, she sat on the little Wu Yun and brought butt face down to the pool. Chapter 38-54. Calm down. The small silver snake was coiled on a slightly protruding stone wall beside the pond. When it saw Yun Chujio coming over, it did not run away. It looked as if it was at her mercy. Cough cough, a certain god who had been waiting for the stars and the moon had finally come looking for Yun Chujio. Naturally, it had learned its lesson. When Yun Chujio saw the small silver snake, she recalled both old and new grudges. She held the small silver snake in her left hand and the large kitchen knife in her right hand. She said darkly, "Pervert, I will castrate you today. Let's see if you still have the heart to be a pervert in the future." Suddenly, the entire snake felt uneasy. Yun Chujio saw the small silver snake as she wished and trembled in fear. She snorted coldly. "You know fear now. I'm warning you. This is the first and last time. If I find out that you still harbor ill intentions towards me, I'll castrate you." After saying that, Yun Chujio threw the small silver snake into the water and no longer cared about its life or death. But Face was gloating when he saw the small silver snake being defeated. He moved closer to the small silver snake that was as stiff as a log and said, "Little dragon, when you come up, I will report your crimes to your excellency." "TSK, your excellency is a big vinegar jar." When that time comes, you will be miserable. The small silver snake glanced at Buttface coldly and then dived into the water. He had to stay calm. No matter who was almost castrated by his wife, it would be difficult to stay calm, okay? Yun Chujio took out the bronze mirror again. After a long while, she still could not see the figure of the sword-wielding man. She thought to herself that it seemed that only on a full moon night could she see him. However, she did not know why he did not have the second half of the sword technique. Since he did not have the sword technique, there was no need for him to stay in the pool. Yun Chujio put the little silver snake on her hair with a look of disgust and sat on the little Wu Yun to return to the cave. The next morning, Yun Chujio and Zhongli had just eaten breakfast when the teleportation array suddenly opened and someone was sent up. The person was dressed in the uniform of the nameless sword sect's successor disciple. His face was handsome, but there was a trace of arrogance at the corner of his eyes. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Zhongli was delighted when he saw the young man. Junior brother Zhuanghong, did master ask me to leave early? Zhuanghong looked at Zhongli with slight disdain. Zhongli, you are no longer a successor disciple. You are not even an inner disciple. A person should know his own limits. You should stop calling the sect leader master. Zhongli looked at Zhuanghong in disbelief. His face suddenly turned pale. Zhuanghong's gaze fell on Yun Chujio. Yun Chujio, the sect leader has something to ask you. Come with me. Yun Chujio stretched out her hand. Where is the sect leader's order? Zhuanghong was stunned. He then said arrogantly, I am the sect leader's true disciple. How can I lie to you? If you continue to dawdle, then don't go out. Zhuanghong thought that with his threat, Yun Chujio would definitely obediently leave with him. Who would have thought that Yun Chujio would slightly curl the corner of her lips and said indifferently, I don't know you. Even if you are really the successor disciple of the sect master, who knows if what you said is the truth, so I will not leave with you. Zhuanghong was stunned at first and then said angrily, Yun Chujio, you better think it through. If you don't leave with me, then you will stay here forever. Yun Chujio shrugged. Whatever. Zhuanghong gritted his teeth. The leaders of the three sects of the first pavilion, second island were all waiting in the meeting hall. If he couldn't bring this Yun Chujio back, the leader would definitely blame him. Thinking of this, he softened his tone. Yun Chujio, the leader has something important to look for you. You'd better leave with me. Yun Chujio glanced at him. It's fine if you want me to leave with you. Let Marshal Uncle Zhang go as well. Otherwise, bring the sect master's personal order over. Otherwise, I won't leave. You. Zhuanghong's face flushed red with anger. However, when he thought of the consequences if he could not bring Yun Chujio to the meeting hall, he gritted his teeth. All right, they'll bring both of you out of here. Zhongli looked hesitant. This will work. Yun Chujio looked at Zhongli with a faint smile and said, What? Marshal Uncle Zhang, are you prepared to wait here for someone to kill you? Zhongli's heart trembled. He did not hesitate anymore and followed Yun Chujio into the teleportation formation. Zhongli saw the things piled up on the stone platform and reminded, Marshal Nephew Yun, these things. Yun Chujio said indifferently, leave them here first. Maybe one day you will be punished again, and you will have to come back. Zhongli, you will not have any friends if you talk like this. Zhuanghong saw the two of them talking and laughing, and he despised them in his heart. They were indeed a pair of trash, they really had the same taste. The disciple guarding the teleportation formation was stunned when he saw Zhongli coming out as well. He said awkwardly, Marshal Uncle Zhuang, Zhongli still has half a month before the 1-month deadline. This? Zhuanghong snorted coldly. If there's anything, I'll take care of it myself. You don't have to ask. Those disciples did not dare to say anything more and watched the three of them leave. Yes, speaking of which, that Zhang Li used to treat Zhuang Hong very well. But after Zhang Li's accident, Zhuang Hong did not even show his face. Why did he suddenly become kinder this time? If it wasn't for Zhang Li's accident, Zhuang Hong would never have the chance to take over the position of sect master in this lifetime. I think he would have wished for something to happen to Zhang Li. When they were about to reach the hidden sword peak, Zhuang Hong said coldly to Zhang Li, do you still want to follow us to the meeting hall? It's better to return to the lower house quickly. Zhang Li's face turned pale. He pursed his lips and nodded at Yun Chujio, then turned around and left. Yun Chujio's eyes flashed, but she did not say anything. She followed Zhuang Hong to the meeting hall. When they were about to reach the meeting hall, Zhuang Hong looked at Butt-Face, who was following behind Yun Chujio with disgust. Yun Chujio, put away your spiritual pet. Spiritual pets are not allowed to enter the meeting hall. Butt-Face glared at Zhuang Hong fiercely with his dog eyes. He was unwillingly put into Yun Chujio's spiritual beast bag. Zhuang Hong looked at the small silver snake coiled in Yun Chujio's hair again. You can't bring this in either. Put it away. Yun Chujio still did not say anything. She obediently took the small silver snake from her hair and pretended to put it into the spiritual beast bag. In reality, she stuffed it into her sleeve. Only then did Zhuang Hong bring Yun Chujio into the meeting hall. There were many people sitting in the meeting hall, and Yun Chujio immediately saw Tower Master Luochen. It wasn't that Yun Chujio went to see him on purpose, but it was because ever since she entered the meeting hall, Tower Master Luchen's slightly gloomy gaze had been fixed on her. Yun Chujio couldn't be bothered with this crazy person. She silently glanced at the others. Besides Sect Master Huang of Xuanji sect whom she had met previously, there were also 3 elders. They must be the island masters and sect masters of the Flying Flower Island, Ascension Island, and Xuanwu sect. Chapter 3856 Zhang Xiaoyu. Just as Yun Chujio was secretly poking around, Master Ouyang said in a deep voice, Yun Chujio, when we sent people to the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa, the Fallen Goose Mountain Villa was already littered with corpses. No matter if they were young or old, they were all killed. Yun Chujio was shocked, but when she thought of the style of the Divine Devil Hall, she was not surprised. The Divine Devil Hall's methods were ruthless, so they naturally would not leave anyone alive. Master Ouyang continued, now, all the clues have been cut off. Tell us what you know about the Divine Devil Hall so that we can have a reference. Yun Chujio immediately told them what she knew, and the expressions of the sect masters changed slightly. However, Yun Chujio could see that they still did not take the Divine Devil Hall seriously. This was not surprising. After all, they had not personally dealt with the Divine Devil Hall, so they naturally felt that she was exaggerating. She was too lazy to explain. Sooner or later, they would understand that what she said was true. Sect Master Huang and the others asked for some details. When Sect Master Ouyang saw that Yun Chujio did not have anything else to do, he prepared to let Yun Chujio leave and then put on a banquet to entertain everyone. Unexpectedly, Tower Master Luochen suddenly said, Master Ouyang, why don't you ask Miss Yun to stay as well? If anyone thinks of anything during the banquet, it's convenient to ask. Tower Master Ouyang naturally wouldn't make Tower Master Luochen unhappy over such a small matter, so he nodded and said to Yun Chujio, in that case, you can stay. Yun Chujio frowned slightly. She didn't know what Lon Luochen was up to, but she couldn't just leave like this. She could only stand quietly near the door of the meeting hall. Master Ouyang immediately ordered people to set up a banquet. When Yun Chujio saw the banquet, the depression in her heart dissipated a little. This guy didn't stand on ceremony and immediately began to eat and drink. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. While Yun Chujio was eating, she felt an unfriendly gaze. She looked up and saw a young girl in light yellow clothes looking at her resentfully. When the young girl saw Yun Chujio looking at her, she curled the corners of her lips at Yun Chujio, but the smile didn't reach her eyes. Just when Yun Chujio was wondering what she meant, she heard the young girl say coquettishly, "Master Ouyang, I heard that your sex Yun Chujio developed 3 very mysterious sword moves after eating poisonous mushrooms. I wonder if you can let me have a taste." Before Master Ouyang could reply, Island Master Qi of Flying Flower Island said with a smile, "This is my little disciple, Xiao Yu. She's been spoiled by me. Master Ouyang, you don't have to pay attention to her. She's just a naughty child." Master Ouyang was not a fool. How could he not understand Island Master Qi's true meaning? He said with a smile, "It's normal for little girls to play and play. It's also good to let them have a competition. Yun Chujio, then you can have a competition with Xiao Yu." Yun Chujio held a chicken drumstick that she had just chewed on and reluctantly agreed, thinking to herself, is there something wrong with her? Why did she have to spar with her for no reason? Yun Chujio took out a handkerchief to wipe her hands before lazily walking to the middle of the meeting hall. Xiao Yu looked at her with disdain, thinking that this Yun Chujio was only pretty good looking. The rest were useless. What did Tower Master Luochen see in her? Just now, he actually took the initiative to ask her to stay. What right did an outer sect disciple like her have to eat with them? Today, she would make a fool of herself and let Tower Master Luochen see who was his good match. Chapter 3857, The Sinking Pulp Sword, Yun Chujio, the difference in spiritual power between you and me is huge. I won't take advantage of you. We don't use spiritual power, we only use sword moves to compete. Xiao Yu said arrogantly. This virtuous lady, if you are so reasonable, why would a true disciple like you have to compete with an outer disciple like me? Don't you feel that it's a bit demeaning? Yun Chujio said faintly. Damn it, she hadn't even finished eating her chicken drumstick, and it was all because of this little bitch. She actually wanted to pretend to be a white lotus in front of everyone. Shameless. Xiao Yu had clearly never met someone like He Xinjiu before. She was suddenly rendered speechless and was stunned on the spot. Seeing that she didn't speak, Yun Chujio shrugged her shoulders. Looks like you have decided to give up on competing with me. That's great. After saying that, Yun Chujio turned around and wanted to return to her seat. By the way, the chicken drumsticks today were really delicious. She could just finish the remaining half. Xiao Yu finally regained her senses and shouted in exasperation, "Stop. Did I let you go? Do you want to disobey Master Ouyang's orders?" Yun Chujio rolled her eyes. Since she was looking for trouble, then let's compete. Yun Chujio took out a tree branch from her storage ring and said perfunctorily, "Since you insist on competing, then let's compete. Let's begin." When Xiao Yu saw that Yun Chujio actually took out a tree branch to humiliate her, she gnashed her teeth in anger and immediately drew her sword to compete with Yun Chujio. Xiao Yu used the Flying Flower Sword technique of the Flying Flower Island. Although the Flying Flower Island was not good at sword techniques, the Flying Flower Sword technique was one of the best sword techniques and was only inferior to the Nameless Sword technique. As for Yun Chujio, she was using the 5-element sword technique of the outer disciples of the Nameless Sword sect. What was courting death was that she was holding a broken tree branch in her hand. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks therefore, everyone felt that the final winner would definitely be Xiao Yu, and it would be an easy victory. Master Ouyang also thought so. He just wanted Xiao Yu to suppress Yun Chujio's short temper so that this little girl would not float into the sky. After all, Yun Chujio was only an outer sect disciple. Even if she lost, it wouldn't be considered a disgrace to the Nameless Sword sect. Tower Master Luchen's expression remained the same, but his eyes remained fixated on Yun Chujio. It was hard to tell what he was thinking. 15 minutes later, Yun Chujio and Xiao Yu were still fighting, but everyone had surprised expressions on their faces. Although the outcome had not been decided, Yun Chujio had already won. After all, the grade of the sword technique she used was much lower than the Flying Flower Sword technique, and she was only holding a broken tree branch. Xiao Yu clearly realized this as well. She had originally wanted to embarrass Yun Chuzhou, but now, she had become the one to lose face. No, she had to win this match no matter what, or else she would not have the face to appear in front of Tower Master Luochen in the future. When Xiao Yu thought of this, she took advantage of Yun Chuzhi's dodging time to change to a sword. The treasured sword flashed with light and everyone shockingly discovered that the treasured sword was actually condensed from water. Of course, this water wasn't ordinary water, but the special, sinking slurry, of the Flying Flower Island. Only the special secret technique of the Flying Flower Island could be used to make the sinking slurry sword. They didn't expect that the sword in Xiao Yu's hand was actually the sinking slurry sword. The success rate of refining the sinking slurry sword was very, very low. It was said that there were only a few of them on the Flying Flower Island. When Mie recalled that Xiao Yu was given one at such a young age, it could be seen that she was very popular with Island Master Qi. Chapter 38-58, She was my fiancé. Everyone felt that there was no more suspense. Yun Chuzhou would definitely lose. The reason why the sinking pulp sword was precious was because it had a unique characteristic, which was to reduce the opponent's sword intent. The reason why Yun Chuzhou was able to tie Xiao Yu with a broken tree branch was because of her sword intent. However, now that Xiao Yu had taken out the sinking pulp sword, Yun Chuzhi's advantage was greatly reduced and she would soon lose. As expected, the tree branch in Yun Chuzhi's hand was quickly cut off by the sinking pulp sword. Hei Xinjiu only had half a foot-long tree branch in her hand. Xiao Yu revealed a cold smile. Yun Chuzhou, do you still need to compete? You've lost. What Xiao Yu and everyone did not expect was that Yun Chuzhou immediately jumped to the side. She threw the half-broken tree branch on the ground. You're absolutely right. I've lost. Can I go back to my seat and eat now? I'm starving to death. Everyone was dumbfounded. Under normal circumstances, shouldn't they continue the competition tenaciously? Why did they admit defeat so easily? Didn't she feel embarrassed? Xiao Yu stood there in a daze. She had clearly won, but why did she feel so sullen? At this moment, Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, although Xiao Yu won in the end, in terms of swordsmanship, Yun Chuzhou is superior. The winner of this competition should be Yun Chuzhou. Xuanji Sect Master Huang nodded in agreement. That's right. Yun Chuzhi's five-element swordsmanship is much inferior to Xiao Yu's flying flower swordsmanship, not to mention that she only has a broken tree branch in her hand. Therefore, Yun Chuzhi's understanding and grasp of swordsmanship is obviously better than Xiao Yu's. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Ascending Islands Island Master Luo and Xuanwu Sect Master Chen also echoed. If Xiao Yu didn't rely on the sinking pulp sword, she might have lost. Xiao Yu's face alternated between green and white. Tower Master Luchen's words were like a knife cutting her heart. She should have killed that bitch Yun Chuzhou with one sword just now. She bit her lips and forced out a smile. Tower Master Luochen and the other sect masters are right. In terms of swordsmanship, I am indeed inferior to Yun Chuzhou. Yun Chuzhou, why don't we compete in cultivation? After all, in a real battle, only sword techniques are not enough. Yun Chuzhou hated Tower Master Luochen to death. This psychopath must have done it on purpose. He was deliberately trying to gain hatred points for her, this scum. Yun Chuzhou glanced at the resentful Xiao Yu. I won't compete with you. I admit that you are stronger than me. You are stronger than me. Is that all right? If you are willing to compete, you can find someone else to compete with. I haven't eaten my fill yet. After Yun Chuzhou finished speaking, she turned around and intended to return to her seat. She did not expect Xiao Yu to directly stab her back with the sinking pulp sword. She actually intended to kill her directly. Before Yun Chuzhou could make any moves, Tower Master Luochen had already moved. With a palm, he forced Xiao Yu back a few steps. If not for Island Master Qi seeing that the situation was not good, he would have stopped Tower Master Luchen's palm force. It was likely that Xiao Yu would not just take a few steps back. Xiao Yu looked at Tower Master Luochen in disbelief. Did he really care about that bitch Yin Chuzhou that much? He actually hurt her for her. Island Master Qi frowned. Although there was something wrong with Xiao Yu, Tower Master Luchen's attack was a little too heavy. He was just about to speak when he heard Tower Master Luchen's cold voice, Yun Chuzhou is my fiancée. Anyone who hurts her in the future will become my enemy. Chapter 38-59. The entire snake felt at ease. There was complete silence in the meeting hall. Everyone knew that Yun Chuzhou and Tower Master Luochen had a history of conflict. However, everyone thought that since Yun Chuzhou had already joined the Nameless Sword sect, it was obvious that she was rejecting them. According to Tower Master Luchen's status and personality, after being humiliated by a woman, he shouldn't be involved anymore. Who would have thought that Tower Master Luochen wouldn't give up after hearing this? And she even had the intention of not marrying him? Yun Chuzhi's heart was like a beeping dog. Who the hell is your fiancé? You're so shameless. There was another person, no, a snake, who was even angrier than Yun Chuzhou. Her vertical pupils were so cold that it was frightening. The moment Xiao Yu made her move, the silver snake was already prepared to make her move. She didn't expect Tower Master Luochen to beat her to it. This was fine. After all, he no longer needed to rely on the hero to save the damsel in distress to please the little rascal. However, Lon Luochen actually said that the little rascal was his fiancé. Was he shameless? Perhaps it was because he was too angry. A certain someone actually felt that his seal had loosened a little. He did not know if it was a blessing in disguise. At that moment, he heard the most beautiful words in the world. The entire snake immediately felt comfortable. Tower Master Luochen, thank you for saving me just now, but I have already rejected your proposal to marry me, and I have a fiancé. In the future, don't say such things that make people misunderstand. In front of everyone, I also solemnly declare that I will only marry one person in my life, and that is my fiancé. After saying that, Yun Chuzhou didn't even look at Tower Master Luchen's uncertain expression and directly walked back to her seat. Seeing the awkward atmosphere, Master Ouyang laughed, I'm old. I really don't understand the affairs of young people like you. Come, drink. This wine is brewed from the spring water of our Nameless Sword sect. It's very mellow. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Sect Master Huang and the others also chimed in a few sentences to smooth over this matter. Although Tower Master Luchen's expression quickly returned to normal, the veins on his hands bulged. He was obviously very angry. It seemed that only by forcing her into a dead end and killing Di Biming would she be able to change her mind. Very good. He had waited for such a long time, he didn't mind waiting for another period of time. However, before that, he had to collect some interest. At the end of the banquet, everyone bid farewell one after another. Master Ouyang naturally had to pretend to persuade him to stay, but unexpectedly. Tower Master Luochen said indifferently, since Master Ouyang is so kind, then I will disturb you for a few more days. Master Ouyang thought that there was something wrong with his ears. He was stunned for a moment, and then said somewhat embarrassedly, Good, you are most welcome. Xiao Yu tugged at Island Master Qi's sleeve. Island Master Qi could only thicken his skin and say, Master Ouyang, then I will disturb you for a few more days. You want not welcome me, right? What else could Master Ouyang say? He could only say a few polite words with a smiling face. Sect Master Huang and the others looked at each other and recalled what had just happened. Even if they used their heels to think, there would definitely be a good show to watch. Thus, each and every one of the shameless ones also proposed to stay for a few more days. Master Ouyang cursed in his heart. These old geezers were all just watching the show and didn't think it was a big deal. None of them had any good intentions. However, he didn't have any other choice. He could only reluctantly say some polite words like welcome, gracing his humble abode, and so on. Chapter 3860, Do you understand what I mean? Yun Chujio looked at this situation and immediately felt that things were not looking good. That psychopath Lan Luochen must be up to something bad again. She had to retreat immediately. Unfortunately, before she could find an excuse to leave, she heard Tower Master Luochen say to Tower Master Ouyang, Master Ouyang, why don't you let Yun Chujio accompany me to tour the Nameless Sword Sect? The corner of Tower Master Ouyang's eyes twitched. He knew it. Tower Master Luochen had stayed behind for Yun Chujio, and Xiao Yu had also stayed behind. If he really let Yun Chujio accompany Tower Master Luochen, wouldn't it be chaotic? Just as Tower Master Ouyang was about to find an excuse to shirk the responsibility, he heard Tower Master Luochen say, Tower Master Ouyang, the spiritual stone mine in the distant Song Mountains has always been mined by our two families. The 10-year period has come. If there's time, we can renegotiate the share ratio. Tower Master Ouyang immediately understood the subtext of Tower Master Luchen's words. He immediately said to Yun Chujio, if that's the case, you can accompany Tower Master Luochen to walk around for a few days. Yun Chujio was about to say something about having a stomachache, a headache, and a pain all over her body when she realized that her identity jade token was trembling. She sent her spiritual sense into it. She heard Master Ouyang's threatening words, Yun Chujio, you are a member of the Nameless Sword Sect. You have to put the big picture first. Yun Chujio was very shrewd. She immediately understood that old man Ouyang was threatening her. If she did not agree, he might find an excuse to expel her from the sect. This fellow was so angry that she gritted her teeth. However, this fellow had never been one to swallow his anger. She looked at Master Ouyang with some embarrassment, then, she said, that master, although there are some things that I shouldn't say, I still have to say it. I heard that Tower Master Luochen had wandered around Chaotian's sect a few times before, and the sect-guarding treasure of Chaotian's sect was lost. Do you understand what I mean? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks instantly, Master Ouyang's expression was very interesting. He was angry that Yun Chujio couldn't speak, but he was also worried about the true purpose of Tower Master Luochen. The matter of Chaotian's sect had been in a heated discussion. It was said that because the sect's treasure had been lost, the sect master of Chaotian's sect had knelt in front of the ancestral master's tablet for 3 days and 3 nights. According to the rumors from Chaotian's sect, the biggest suspect was Tower Master Luochen. Could it be that Tower Master Luochen was doing this for Yun Chujio, but in fact, he had other motives? Not only Sect Master Ouyang, but also Sect Master Huang and the others showed a hint of doubt on their faces. The 9-layered pavilion was more powerful than their sections. The recent incidents in the southern continent and Chaotian's sect had forced them to be on guard against the 9-layered pavilion. Tower Master Luochen insisted on staying at the Nameless Sword Sect. Was it really for Yun Chujio? It wasn't that they didn't like Yun Chujio, the little girl. Though she was quite good-looking, there was no shortage of beautiful women in Towering Sky Continent. Did Tower Master Luochen have to make a big fuss to marry her? Something didn't seem right here. Tower Master Luochen glanced at the expressions of Master Ouyang and the others. He felt a bit annoyed, but at the same time, he felt that Yun Chujio was the only woman he wanted. The gaze he used to look at Yun Chujio became even deeper. Unfortunately, in Yun Chujio's eyes, this gaze was no different from that of a poisonous snake. It was even 10,000 times more disgusting than a little perverted dragon. The little silver snake in Yun Chujio's sleeve had a cold gaze at this moment. Asking the little rascal to accompany him around the Nameless Sword Sect. Very good, well see. Chapter 3861, An Ice Dog. For a moment, the atmosphere was a little stagnant. Although Master Ouyang was a little more cautious, he couldn't really chase Tower Master Luochen out, so he glared at Yun Chuzhou. Nonsense. Tower Master, everyone, please go to the guest house to rest first. I will arrange for Yun Chuzhou and the others to accompany you on the tour tomorrow. Yun Chuzhou couldn't help but smile when she heard Tower Master Ouyang say, everyone. It seemed that Old Man Ouyang was planning to send a few more people to accompany Tower Master Luochen on the tour. It was obvious that they were accompanying him, but in reality, they were monitoring him. This way, she could make up the numbers. Tower Master Luochen obviously understood what Tower Master Ouyang meant. He just nodded and went to the guest house with Elder Gu and the others. After Tower Master Luochen and the others left, Master Ouyang said to Yun Chuzhou with a serious face, Yun Chuzhou, I don't care what kind of trouble you have with Tower Master Luochen. You have to bear with it for the next few days. If you cause any trouble, I can't protect you. Yun Chuzhou said obediently, Master Ouyang, don't worry. I promise I won't say anything if I can. I won't make a move if I can. I won't cause any trouble. Master Ouyang, why did he have a very bad feeling? Master Ouyang waved his hand speechlessly, indicating that Yun Chuzhou could leave. Master Ouyang looked at Yun Chuzhou's back and took a deep breath. He felt that it was not safe to bet on this little girl. When the time came, he would just send more people to accompany her. He would think of a way to separate Yun Chuzhou from Tower Master Luochen and Xiaoyu so that there would not be any major problems. Yun Chuzhou left the meeting hall. As she walked, she muttered, damn it, he still wants me to accompany him to tour the Nameless Sword sect? How shameless. However, there are many places I haven't been to the Nameless Sword sect. It's not bad to take the opportunity to step on the plates. Yun Chuzhou had just arrived at the lower house when she saw Zhongli. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, Martial Nephew Yun, are you alright? Why is the sect master looking for you? Zhongli asked with some worry. Yun Chuzhou waved her hand nonchalantly. It's nothing. He just wants me to accompany Tower Master Luochen and the others to tour the Nameless Sword sect for the next few days. Zhongli heaved a sigh of relief and asked curiously, didn't you reject Tower Master Luochen? From the looks of it, he won't give up. Yun Chuzhou pouted. Then he's a psychopath. Martial Uncle Zhang, I'm not going to chat with you anymore. I'll return to the courtyard first. Although Zhongli had never heard of a psychopath, he understood that it was not a good thing. He thought to himself, it seemed that this little girl really did not have a good impression of Tower Master Luochen. Yun Chuzhou hopped into her courtyard. Just as she was about to take a bath, she remembered the little silver snake in her sleeve. She fiercely threw it on the stone table in the courtyard and then let Dog 2 out to keep an eye on it. Buttface flatteringly expressed his loyalty, little fairy, don't worry. I promise to keep an eye on this pervert. I won't let him come near the house. Yun Chuzhou nodded and entered the house to take a bath. Buttface stared at the little silver snake with his dog eyes and said fiercely, you better behave yourself, or I'll have you castrated by the little fairy. As soon as Buttface said that, he felt a cold aura envelop him. He instantly became an ice dog. Buttface's mind went blank. Then, the first thought that came to his mind was, isn't the little perverted dragon a fire spirit root? Why does it look like an ice spirit root now? Chapter 3862, The thought of scaring the dog to death. The ice on Dog 2's body began to melt bit by bit. When the dog saw the silver snake's cold eyes, it had a bold, unreliable, and frightening thought. When this thought appeared, the whole dog was in a bad mood. It trembled and said in a trembling voice, you, no, it can't be your majesty, right? The small silver snake made a cold grunt, and this grunt exploded in Dog 2's head. It's over. It's over. Not only did it scold your majesty a few hundred times, it even said that it would castrate him. Did it still have a way to live? Countless ways to die flashed through Dog 2's mind. It was slapped to death, strangled to death, frozen to death, and dismembered by 5 horses. But Face was on the verge of collapse. He grumbled in his heart, my lord, if you are not a good person, what kind of snake are you? Are you so bored that your balls hurt? But Face's legs gave way and he lay on the ground, he kept begging for mercy. My lord, it's not strange if you don't know. If I had known it was you, I wouldn't have disrespected you even if you beat me to death. You are a magnanimous person, so you definitely won't argue with me, right? But Face saw that the silver snake was still staring at him coldly, and he was almost about to cry. This fellow had a sudden flash of wisdom, and a bright light flashed in his head. Immediately, a pair of dog eyes burst out with a flattering light. Your Majesty, I was wrong. I'm not a human, not a dog. I will definitely atone for my sins by doing whatever you want me to do in the future. Do you want to peek at the little fairy taking a bath? Go ahead, just treat me as a blind dog. After Dog 2 finished speaking, the silver snake's eyes turned even colder. A certain deity wished that he could slap this dog, who couldn't speak human language, to death. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. What did he mean by wanting to peek at the little rascal taking a bath? Was he such a person with no moral integrity? Well, it wasn't impossible to go and take a look. Perhaps, he could break the seal. With this thought in mind, a certain deity jumped down from the stone table and quickly crawled towards the direction of the house. Dog 2, it felt that the image of a certain lord in its mind had collapsed into a pile of rubble. So you are such a lord. Does the little fairy know about it? Dog 2 stared at the little silver snake as it arrived at the door. It shrunk its body several times and crawled through the crack of the door. Only then did Dog 2 feel that it had done something that had wronged the little fairy. Immediately, the whole dog fell into self-blame. However, between being slapped to death by the Lord and self-blame, it would rather choose to blame itself. However, but Face soon saw the silver snake crawl out from the crack of the door. However, from the door to the stone table, there was nosebleeds all over the floor. But Face, Your Majesty, are you afraid that the little fairy won't notice you? Are you deliberately leaving clues for her? Are you going to turn into snake soup? Just as Buttface was complaining, he felt a white light flash in front of him. Then, his nose was extremely sore, and 2 nosebleeds flowed down. Before Buttface could react, the door was pushed open. Yun Chujio glanced at the little silver snake and Buttface with a murderous look. Finally, her eyes fell on Buttface, who was bleeding. Good. Buttface. I thought you were reliable. I didn't expect you to be a pervert. I must kill you and eat your dog meat today. Buttface, Your Excellency, is it really good for you to frame me like this? Where is your moral integrity? Chapter 3863. Buttface. Just as Buttface was about to explain, he caught a glimpse of the cold eyes of a small snake. He immediately lost the courage to tell the truth. He felt that he would not be able to see the sun the next day. Little fairy, listen to me. It's not what you think. Buttface ran around the yard to avoid the whip in Yun Chujio's hand. Yun Chujio would not listen to his explanation. Although she was covered by the bathtub, she was not wearing any clothes. This was worse than the last time when the little dragon peeked. Seeing that Yun Chujio had the urge to cut it into pieces, Buttface looked at the little silver snake for help. However, there was no emotion in the little silver snake's eyes, as if it had nothing to do with it. Buttface wanted to cry, but he had no tears. In his desperation, he shouted, Little fairy, don't you know me? I don't like people with your figure. I like people with boobs, and boobs. The small silver snake's eyes flashed with a hint of schadenfreude. The little rascal hated people talking about her figure the most. Butt-face was dead. Sure enough, Yun Chujio was furious. She threw the whip on the ground and shot a bolt of lightning at Butt-face. Butt-face, tonight's dinner is roast dog meat. Butt-face also realized that he had said something stupid. He regretted it so much that his intestines turned green. Soon, he smelled a burnt smell. Woo-woo, he was going to turn into curly hair. Butt-face finally thought of an excuse. Little fairy, I swear to God, I really didn't peek at you. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, I just had my nose bleeding from the little dragon. I wanted to complain to you, but halfway through, I realized that it wasn't a good time to complain, so I stepped back. In all conscience, I didn't see anything. Besides, isn't there a door inside? I can't see it either. Yun Chujio looked at Butt-face suspiciously and thought that it made sense. The door inside wasn't opened, so Butt-face couldn't see anything even through the crack. Was he really wronged? Seeing that Yun Chujio stopped moving, Butt-face quickly pointed at his nose with his paw. Little fairy, if you don't believe me, look at my nose. This is what the little perverted dragon slapped with its tail. Yun Chujio saw Urguzi's nose is indeed a little red and swollen, and believe a few points, mainly Urguzi's usual performance is still good, not like to do peep at her bathing things. Moreover, Butt-face often and Meng Yanshou too mutter, too idiot aesthetic is extremely consistent, like that kind of, well, very full figure. Butt-face saw that Yun Chujio's expression was a little relaxed, he immediately raised one of his paws and said, I, Butt-face, swear to God. If I peek at the little fairy bathing, I will be a single dog for the rest of my life and never find a wife. Little fairy, this is really a misunderstanding. Yun Chujio saw that Butt-face's eyes were full of sincerity and finally let him go. She said fiercely, remember this for now. If I find out that you are lying, humph. Dog 2 thought to itself that it was indeed lying. Damn it, the one who was really peeking was that little perverted dragon. No, it was that pervert. When Dog 2 thought of this, it couldn't help but feel a little puzzled. His Majesty had always been cold and aloof. How did he become a pervert who peeked at the little fairy bathing? Was he finally enlightened? Although Dog 2 was suspicious, it didn't have the courage to ask a certain someone. Moreover, the most important thing now was to clear its name in front of the little fairy. Otherwise, its dog life would be in danger. Chapter 3864 turned out to be a pretentious act. Butt-face tried his best to flatter Yun Chujio, which finally made her treat him better. During dinner, Yun Chujio threw a few meat bones to Butt-face as usual and a steamed bun to the small silver snake. Just as Butt-face was about to enjoy the meat bones, he suddenly felt cold. He tilted his head and saw a small snake looking at him coldly. To be precise, it was looking at his meat bones. Dog 2 looked at the steamed bun in front of the small snake and then at the meat bone in front of it. It had an epiphany. It eagerly held a piece of meat bone in its mouth and placed it in front of the small silver snake. Your Majesty. Little perverted dragon, you can eat it. Dog 2 thought that it was a close call. It almost said that it was bald. A certain supreme wanted to slap Dog 2 to death in his heart. Would he, an exalted supreme, fight over a meat bone with a dog? He was just a little unaccustomed to the fact that the little rascal treated Butt-face better than him. When Butt-face saw the little silver snake looking at him coldly, he finally realized that he was a little stupid, so he eagerly took the meat bone back. Yun Chujio was initially wondering why Butt-face suddenly treated the little dragon so well. Now that he had taken the meat bone back, she felt that Butt-face was playing with the little dragon, and she couldn't help but laugh. She touched her chin. It seemed a little cruel to feed the little dragon steamed buns, so she placed a plate of ribs on the table in front of the little silver snake. The little silver snake's cold eyes immediately softened. The ribs were much more elegant than the meat bone. While eating, Yun Chujio looked at the little silver snake who was gnawing on the ribs. For some reason, she felt that the little silver snake looked very noble and elegant when eating. She thought to herself, what the hell? Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks, noble and elegant doesn't have anything to do with this little lecherous dragon, okay? She must have been angered by Dog 2. Thinking of this, Yun Chujio fiercely glared at Dog 2. Dog 2, who did it offend? Why was it being glared at for no reason? After dinner, Yun Chujio cultivated for a while. She thought to herself that her spiritual power had stayed at the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm for a long time. She had to think of a way to break through. Although little Wu Yun had absorbed some lightning power and could be struck for a while, Yun Chujio was not willing to use it. This fellow was still hoping that little Wu Yun would bring her to fly at the critical moment. Moreover, to break through to the 9th level of the spirit transformation realm, she needed a large amount of spiritual power. Only by being struck by lightning could she successfully advance. She did not know what was going on with that idiot, Big Wu Yun. Why didn't Wu Yun come to strike her? Yun Chujio pondered for a while and couldn't think of any good ideas. In the end, she fell asleep in a daze. When Dog 2 saw that Yun Chujio was asleep, its dog eyes immediately lit up. It looked at the small silver snake with a flattering look and then pointed at Yun Chujio with its claws. That meant, don't stand on ceremony and hurry up. The small silver snake glanced at Dog 2 indifferently and then closed its eyes. But Face thought, Your Majesty has returned to normal. I knew it. How could your Majesty secretly take advantage of the little fairy? Just as Butt-Face was thinking, the little silver snake quickly climbed onto the bed and coiled itself around Yun Chujio's wrist. Butt-Face was dumbfounded. He cursed in his heart, oh my, so you are pretending to be reserved. I didn't expect you to be such an honorable person. Butt-Face spent a sleepless night. The reason was very simple. If a certain black-hearted person was found out, he might be framed again. He could only bitterly help to keep watch. Chapter 3865 was still as mischievous as ever. Butt-Face stared at her with his dog eyes. He had finally endured until daybreak. Seeing that the little silver snake had finally reluctantly climbed down from the bed, Butt-Face heaved a sigh of relief. When would this miserable life end? Just as Yun Chujio was sleeping soundly, her identity jade token trembled. The fellow closed his eyes and sent his spiritual sense in. Elder Gus' voice came from inside, urging her to hurry to the guest house. Yun Chujio endured her anger and replied. Then, she hugged the quilt and rolled on the bed a few times. She pouted and began to wash up. Yun Chujio ate a few meat buns, put Butt-Face into the spirit beast bag, and put the small silver snake into her sleeve. Only then did she leave the courtyard. When Yun Chujio arrived at the guest courtyard, Sect Master Huang and the others had already gathered at the entrance of the guest courtyard, chatting and laughing. Elder Gu, Elder Wan, and Zhuang Hong were at the side, smiling and accompanying her. Yun Chujio looked at the staffing and couldn't help but give a thumbs up to Master Ouyang in her heart. Elder Jiyu was a direct descendant of Master Ouyang, and he was very smooth in handling matters, so he was very familiar with the matters of the sect. Zhuang Hong was similar in age and seniority to Xiao Yu and the others, so it was more convenient to communicate with him. As for why Master Ouyang sent Elder Wan, it was probably because he wanted to shift the blame. If there were really any mishaps during the tour, Elder Wan wouldn't be able to escape the blame. Naturally, he wouldn't be able to make things difficult for Master Ouyang. When everyone saw Yun Chujio come over, the expressions on their faces were all different. Xiao Yu snorted coldly, Yun Chujio, you actually came at this time. Aren't you neglecting us too much? Before Yun Chujio could speak, Tower Master Luochen said, Little Jiu has always liked to laze in bed. This lord is already used to it. Let's go, Elder Gu. Where should we go to take a look first? Tower Master Luchen's words were very ambiguous, and everyone's expressions instantly became even more interesting, especially Xiao Yu. Her pretty face flushed red, and her eyes were slightly red. She was on the verge of crying. Yun Chujia's heart was like a dog that had been bald. Lan Luochen, this psychopath. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. The gaze of a certain deity in Yun Chujia's sleeve was very cold. Did you call for Little Jiu? You're courting death. Elder Gu was also stunned for a moment, then said, Our nameless sword sect is most famous for the sword pool. Let's go there and take a look first. The guests followed the host and naturally did not say anything. However, Sect Master Huang said with a hint of schadenfreude, Elder Gu, I heard that almost half of the sword lights in the sword pool disappeared a few days ago. Have they recovered? Elder Gu was not annoyed and sighed, how can it recover so quickly? I'm afraid it will take 3 to 5 years to recover. But this is the will of heaven and there's nothing we can do about it. A certain Jiu was secretly delighted. What bullshit will of heaven? It was clearly swallowed by the kitchen knife. This fellow was in the wrong, so she suggested that the sword forging hall publicize the sword forging technique so that it could quickly fill the gap in the sword light. However, if the sect did not accept it, it could not be blamed on her. On the way, Xiao Yu intentionally or unintentionally walked beside Tower Master Luochen, while Yun Chujio was blocked behind by Elder Wan and the other two. Yun Chujio was very satisfied with this. She couldn't ask for more. However, after walking for a distance, Tower Master Luochen said gently, Little Jiu, come to my side. I want to ask you something. Yun Chujio said indifferently, I'm not deaf. Speak, I can hear you. Everyone, this Yun Chujio was really capable of choking people. Would Tower Master Luochen fall out with her? What stunned everyone was that Tower Master Luochen only smiled gently, Little Jiu, you're still as naughty as before. Yun Chujio, naughty your grandma. Chapter 3866, Sparring. Tower Master Luochen didn't seem to realize that he had said something inappropriate. He continued to say gently, Little Jiu, tell me about how the nameless patriarch taught you sword techniques. Although Yun Chujio wanted to refuse, she could only tell the whole story when she saw Elder Gu and Elder Wan's threatening eyes. Although Tower Master Luchen's gaze did not fall on Yun Chujio again, his eyes flickered with a spirit that was usually absent. How great would it be if this continued? He did not ask for much. He only hoped that Little Jiu would always be by his side, even if she was the one speaking and he was listening. Only in this way did he feel that there was a hint of life in his dark life. Xiao Yu's face was slightly distorted from jealousy. On what basis? On what basis could this trash be liked by Tower Master Luochen? Whether it was her family background or spirit energy, which part of her was not 100 or 1,000 times stronger than that Yun Chujio? Why did Tower Master Luochen only have eyes for that trash? Island Master Qi gave Xiao Yu a warning glance, and only then did Xiao Yu's expression recover a little. She thought to herself, in any case, this Yun Chujio did not know what was good for her and had rejected Tower Master Luochen. As long as Master helped her, she, Xiao Yu, would definitely be the one to marry Tower Master Luochen in the end. Everyone walked forward with their own thoughts and finally arrived at the sword pool. Elder Jiyu had already informed Manager Li beforehand, so there were no other disciples cultivating around the sword pool for Tower Master Luochen and the others to visit. Yun Chujio was unwilling to pay attention to Tower Master Luochen, and she was also guilty, so she didn't go near the sword pool. Instead, she sat on the stone steps below the sword pool and waited for everyone. Tower Master Luchen's attention was on the sword pool, so he didn't greet her. While Yun Chujio was looking at the scenery with her chin resting on her hand, the kitchen knife in her storage ring trembled. Yun Chujio's spiritual sense transmitted a longing feeling. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chujio was so scared that she shivered. She said with her spiritual sense, "Little ancestor. Don't cause trouble for me. Not to mention there are so many people here, even if there is no one, you can't eat anymore. If anyone finds out, I will die. You won't be able to recover either." She didn't know if the big kitchen knife understood Yun Chujio's words, but it stopped. Seeing that the big kitchen knife didn't have any reaction, Yun Chujio heaved a sigh of relief in her heart. This guy decided that he couldn't come to the sword pool anymore, or the big kitchen knife would sooner or later swallow the sword light. If that was the case, she would become the public enemy of the entire sect. However, it seemed that the sword light was useful for the repair of the big kitchen knife. She had to think of other ways to get some sword light for the big kitchen knife. Just as Yun Chujio was thinking about it, Tower Master Luochen and the others came down from the sword pool. They were probably almost done with the tour. Yun Chujio stood up and was about to leave with the others when Xiaoyu suddenly sat cross-legged on the ground. Yun Chujio ridiculed in her heart. Is this little bitch crazy? Why is she sitting on the ground for no reason? At this moment, Island Master Qi said with some gratification, Xiaoyu must have gained some enlightenment in the sword pool. It looks like she is about to break through. Sect Master Huang and the others praised her. They just said that she was talented and had a bright future. Now, they could not leave and could only wait on the spot. Tower Master Luochen did not mind. His original intention was to stay with Yun Chujio more, so he walked to Yun Chujio's side and said, "Little Jiu, your swordsmanship is very good. Why don't you spar with me?" Chapter 3867, All is fair in war. Just as Yun Chujio was about to refuse, Elder Gu said with a smile, "Yun Chujio, it's your honor to receive Tower Master Luchen's guidance. Aren't you going to thank Tower Master Luochen? Thank you for 8 generations of ancestors." Yun Chujio was furious, but there was nothing she could do, so she could only nod her head and agree. Yun Chujio was afraid that there would be killing intent during the competition later, so she did not dare to take out a treasured sword or a large kitchen knife. She only took out a tree branch from her storage ring. Elder Gu and the others were dumbfounded. It was one thing for Yun Chujio to be arrogant during the competition with Xiaoyu, but now she was using a tree branch to spar with Tower Master Luochen. She was overestimating herself. However, it made sense. Even if she used a divine weapon, she would not be a match for Tower Master Luochen. Besides, Tower Master Luochen would not really harm her. Tower Master Luochen smiled and said to Yun Chujio, "Little Jiu, can you lend me a tree branch?" Yun Chujio gritted her teeth and handed a tree branch to Tower Master Luochen. Then, she said, "It's inevitable that you don't know the importance of sparring. If I hurt you, don't blame me." Tower Master Luochen smiled faintly, "If I can make you calm down, it's worth it even if I get hurt." The small silver snake in Yun Chujio's sleeve was so angry that it was about to explode. Flirting with his woman in front of him was a blatant provocation. A competition? Very good. Let's wait and see. Yun Chujio was also very angry. She immediately raised the tree branch and stabbed it at Tower Master Luchen's heart. Yun Chujio didn't even see how Tower Master Luochen moved, but Tower Master Luochen had already arrived behind her. She jumped to the side in a sorry state and barely dodged Tower Master Luchen's tree branch. Come and read on our website Wuxia World site. Thanks. Yun Chujio's heart trembled. It seemed that she couldn't fight Lan Luochen with the 5-element sword technique, unless she used the half-sword technique she learned on the stone wall. However, if she used it, she would be in trouble. As the saying went, the layman would watch the show, but the expert would see the trick. Sect Master Huang and the others were all powerful figures in the northern continent, so they could naturally see the difference in strength between Yun Chuzhou and Tower Master Luochen. They were sure that Yun Chuzhou wouldn't be able to withstand 10 moves. Yun Chuzhou had no choice but to use the 3 moves that had already been made public. Needless to say, these 3 moves were somewhat useful and temporarily blocked Tower Master Luchen's sword move. However, after 3 moves, Yun Chuzhou was once again trapped. Yun Chuzhou pondered for a moment. Since she couldn't win anyway, she might as well just lose. Therefore, Yun Chuzhou revealed a flaw. Tower Master Luchen's tree branch pierced into her leg. Although she didn't use her spiritual power, and Tower Master Luochen also withdrew some of his strength, Yun Chuzhou still staggered and fell to the ground. Tower Master Luochen hurriedly jumped to Yun Chuzhia's side and reached out to help her up. Just as his hand was about to touch Yun Chuzhia's body, a silver light flashed through Yun Chuzhia's sleeve. Tower Master Luochen cried out in pain, clutching his bloody right hand as he staggered back a few steps. Everyone was shocked by this unexpected turn of events. Even Yun Chuzhou was shocked. Although she didn't see what happened clearly, she could guess that it was the little lecherous dragon that hurt Tower Master Luochen. She rolled her eyes and pretended to take out a dagger from her sleeve. She said smugly, "How is it? This is called all deception in war. You've lost, right?" Seeing this, Elder Wan could not help but shout angrily, "Yun Chuzhou, you actually dared to hurt Tower Master Luochen. How should you be punished?" Yun Chuzhou curled the corners of her lips indifferently. "I've already said it in advance. It's inevitable to be injured during the sparring. Tower Master Luochen, what do you think? You're tuning into the Han Li's Wuxia Adventures YouTube channel. We're so grateful for your support, and don't forget to subscribe to join us on this incredible journey through captivating stories. Your generosity through donations truly makes a world of difference, as it's the primary source of revenue that allows me to expand and enhance this channel for you. Thank you from the bottom of my heart for being a part of this adventure.